A high school basketball team vanishes after a championship win, lost for 20 years, until a rusted van reveals a chilling diary. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell to unravel this mystery with us in our latest gripping tale. Mason's grip on the stolen pistol tightened as the black SUV's headlights bore down on the van, its engine a feral growl cutting through the night. Lena floored the gas, the vehicle lurching over frost-cracked roads, her bloodied arm trembling but steady on the wheel. In the back, Elizabeth sat silent, her vacant eyes a wound Mason couldn't heal not yet. Kane, zip-tied and slumped against the van's wall, smirked despite his bruised face, his taunt echoing, "You'll never stop, Nexus." Mason ignored him. His focus split between the pursuing SUV and his mother's faint hum, a fragile thread of the woman she'd been. The safe house was 30 miles off, a remote cabin where Lena's FBI contacts waited, ready to take Kane, the drives, and the truth to burn Nexus Global to the ground. But the SUV was gaining, its tires screaming, a shooter leaning out with a rifle. Mason cracked the van's rear door, firing, the recoil jarring his wounded shoulder. Bullets sparked off the SUV's hood, forcing it to swerve. But it didn't stop. Lena shouted, "Hold on!" and veered onto a dirt path, branches scraping the van like claws. The SUV followed, relentless, its lights blinding. Mason's clip ran dry, and he scrambled for Carl's revolver, tucked in his pack. His mother's hand brushed his, a ghost of warmth, and he whispered, "I'm here, Mom. Stay with me." Her fingers curled, just slightly, and his heart surged. She was fighting, somewhere deep inside. The path dead-ended at a frozen river, the safe house, a faint glow across the ice. Lena slammed the brakes, the van fishtailing. "We run," she rasped, grabbing her flash drive. Mason helped Elizabeth out, her steps unsteady, and dragged Kane, the doctor's smug grin faltering as the SUV's doors slammed open. 3 men emerged, rifles raised, their silhouettes sharp against the snow. Mason shoved his mother behind a tree, Lena covering her, and fired Carl's revolver, dropping one man with a chest shot. The others scattered, returning fire, bark exploding around them. Kane twisted, trying to break free, but Mason slammed him to the ground. "Move, and you're dead," he snarled. Lena led Elizabeth toward the river, ice cracking under their weight. Mason followed, dragging Kane, bullets whistling past. The safe house's door burst opento figures, not Kane's men, but feds, their vests marked FBI. "Carter! Harper!" one shouted, laying cover fire. Mason's chest loosened, but only for a second. The ice groaned, a fissure splitting beneath his mother. "Mom!" he yelled, diving for her. Lena pulled her back, the ice holding, but a bullet caught Lena's leg, and she collapsed, clutching the drive. Mason fired back, his last round hitting a shooter in the shoulder. The final man charged, a knife flashing, but the feds cut him down, his body crumpling in the snow. Mason reached Lena, tearing his sleeve to bind her wound, her drive safe in her hand. The feds secured Kane, cuffing him properly, his empire crumbling with every step toward the safe house. Inside, a medic tended Lena and Elizabeth, while an agent took the drives, their data a death sentence for Nexus. Mason sat by his mother, her face still blank, but her hum grew stronger, matching the tune he'd sung. He told her stories, piano lessons, her laughter, their old life. Days later, in a safe facility, the feds raided Nexus's hubs, freeing dozens of women, their faces hauntingly familiar from the ledger. Kane faced trial, his smirk gone, his network exposed. Mason visited his mother daily, her memory fragmented but stirring small smiles, a whispered "Mason" one morning, her hand squeezing his. Therapists warned recovery would be slow, but every word she spoke was a victory. Lena, healing, testified against Kane, her guilt easing as justice rolled out. Carl, Mason learned, had survived, saved by dock workers after their split, and sent a gruff note. "Finish it, kid." Mason did. He enrolled in law enforcement training, vowing to hunt traffickers, his mother's strength his guide. Months later, Elizabeth walked with him in a park, her laugh faint but real, their bond rebuilding. The scars remained, but so did they, unbroken, alive. Riley's thigh burned, the crude bandage soaked with blood, but he gripped the diary like a lifeline as he slid into the diner's corner booth, the neon buzz outside casting jagged shadows across his face. Dawn's light bled through grimy windows, but safety was an illusion. The Night Vale's truck, their dogs, that cursed glow in Blackwood Forest haunted him. The diary, stained with mud and his own blood, lay hidden under his jacket, its entries a scream from 2005. The Crestwood High basketball team, 5 players and their coach, trapped after a wrong turn. Riley's hands still shook from the chase gunfire, shattering glass, the cloaked figure's sketch branded in his mind. He needed Hannah, the ex-cop who'd lost her badge chasing this case, her obsession matching his own. The diner smelled of burnt coffee and grease, its hum a thin shield against the world outside. Hannah slid in across from him, her face weathered, eyes sharp despite the years. At 45, she carried the weight of a town's grief, her best friend's brother Carter, one of the players among the lost. "You look like death," she said, pushing a mug toward him. Riley ignored it, pulling the diary out, its pages crinkling. Found their van. This was inside. Talks about a storm, a cloaked man, something called the Hollow. Hannah's jaw tightened as she scanned the entries, pausing at E. Voss and the spire. "Voss," she muttered. Eli Voss, old logger, worked Blackwood before it was locked down. Claimed he saw things, lights, shadows. Lives in Crestwood now, barely leaves his trailer. Riley leaned in, voice low. "He's our lead. The diary says the team saw a light under the ground. I saw it too, glowing, alive. The Night Vale's protecting it." Hannah's eyes flicked to the door, wary. "That's no myth. The Vale owns this county land. Cops, even the mayor. You stirred their nest." The door jangled, 2 men in dark jackets entering, their eyes sweeping the room. Not locals, too stiff, too focused. Riley's gut twisted. "We've got company," he whispered. Hannah didn't turn. "Keep cool, follow me." She slid a napkin across, scribbled an address Voss's trailer. "Go, I'll stall." Riley hesitated, but her glare was iron. He slipped out the back, the alley swallowing him in cold mist. Crestwood was an hour's drive, a faded town clinging to its past, its streets lined with memorials for the team. Riley's jeep, battered from the chase, groaned as he pushed it hard, the diary's warning. The light poisons the soul, gnawing at him. He reached Voss's trailer by noon, a rusted hulk parked near a quarry, its windows taped with newspaper. He knocked, the door creaking open to reveal a gaunt man, 70s, eyes wild, a shotgun in hand. "Who you?" Voss rasped, voice raw from years of solitude. Riley raised his hands. "Riley Kane, journalist. I found the team's diary. It names you, the spire, the Hollow." Voss's grip faltered, the gun lowering. "You don't know what you're digging into." He waved Riley inside. The trailer a chaos of maps, news clippings, and a single photo Voss with a young man. Maybe Carter, pre-2005. "The Vale," Voss said, locking the door. "They took the boys. I saw their van that night, tailed by a black rig. Tried to follow, but the storm. It wasn't natural." Riley's pulse quickened. "What's the light?" Voss's eyes darkened. "A mineral, deep in the hollow, glows green, warps your mind. The Vale's been mining it since the 80s, selling it to God knows who. Those kids saw it, so they were taken. A crash outside cut him off. Glass shattered, the trailer rocking as something heavy struck it. "They're here," Voss hissed, grabbing a pistol. Riley dove for cover, the diary slipping free. Headlights pierced the windows, a truck's engine roaring. The door exploded inward, 3 men in masks storming in, silenced guns raised. Voss fired, his shotgun blasting a hole in the wall, but a bullet caught his chest, and he crumpled, blood pooling. Riley lunged, tackling one man, their gun skidding. Fists slammed bone, his wounded thigh screaming, but he smashed the man's head against a table, knocking him out. Another grabbed him, a knife flashing, slicing his forearm. Riley twisted, kicking the man's shin, and grabbed Voss's pistol, firing, the third man dropping with a grunt. He staggered to Voss, the old man gasping, blood bubbling. "Spire, quarry, find it," Voss choked, shoving a bloodied map into Riley's hands. Flames licked the trailer's walls, Molotovs, tossed through the windows. Riley grabbed the diary and map, sprinting out as the trailer erupted, heat searing his back. The truck peeled after him, its driver masked, a rifleman leaning out. Riley dove into the quarry, rocks biting his skin. and ran. The map's markings burned into his mind. The spire, a hidden shaft in Crestwood's old mines. The Night Vale was closing in, but Riley had proof now, and he'd tear their empire apart for those boys. Riley's forearm bled through his torn sleeve. The Night Vale's knife wound a raw pulse as he clutched the bloodied map and diary, sprinting through Crestwood's abandoned quarry under a sky bruised with dusk. The trailer's explosion still echoed in his ears, Voss's dying words. Spire, quarry, find it. A jagged command driving him forward. The old logger's death, his chest torn open by the Vale's bullets, was a fresh scar. Voss had known the truth about the 2005 Crestwood High basketball team, taken for witnessing the syndicate's cursed mineral, a glowing green horror that warped minds. Riley's thigh, grazed in the forest chase, throbbed, but he pushed on, the map's markings leading to the spire, a hidden mine shaft in the quarry's heart. The Night Vale's truck had vanished into the dusk, but their pursuit was a noose tightening. Riley was marked, the diary and map a death sentence. Crestwood's quarry was a graveyard of rusted cranes and crumbling pits, the air sharp with dust and diesel ghosts. He ducked behind a derelict bulldozer, checking the map under his flashlight's dim beam. A crude sketch showed a shaft entrance labeled Spire, near a collapsed tunnel. Riley's pulse raced, the diary's entries light beneath the earth. Trapped, screamed of this place. He moved fast, weaving through shadows, every creak of metal a threat. The quarry's edge dropped into a ravine, where a boarded-up tunnel loomed, its planks splintered, a faint green glow leaking through the cracks. The mineral, the Vale's secret, was here. Riley pried a board loose, the wood snapping, and slipped inside, the air cold and sour, the hum from Blackwood Forest louder now, vibrating in his bones. The tunnel sloped down, its walls slick with condensation, littered with rusted picks and faded warning signs. Restricted, Night Vale property. His flashlight caught a steel door, half ajar, etched with a cloaked figure the Vale's mark. He pushed through, entering a cavern, its ceiling studded with glowing green veins, the mineral pulsing like a diseased heart. Riley's skin crawled. The light felt alive, whispering, pulling at his thoughts. He shook it off, spotting a crate of files and a dusty computer terminal, its screen flickering. He powered it on, hands shaking, and found logs. Extraction schedule, 2005, hollow site, witnesses detained. The team Dawson, Carter, Lee, Marino, Hayes, and Coach Randall were listed, marked contained spire. His stomach churned. They'd been here, maybe still were. A video file loaded, grainy footage of the coach, bloodied, pleading, "Let them go. I'll do anything." The date was 2006. They'd survived at least for a year. Footsteps echoed behind. Riley yanked the terminal's drive, stuffing it into his pack with the diary and map. Shadows moved at the tunnel's mouth, 3 figures, armed, their radios crackling. Targets in the spire. Neutralize. Riley dove behind a crate, heart hammering, the glowing mineral casting eerie shadows. The men spread out, boots crunching, one muttering, "Check the shafts. He's got the old man's map." Riley gripped his stolen pistol, Voss's blood still on its grip, and crept toward a side passage, its walls tight, air thin. The passage led to a deeper chamber, where rusted cages lined the walls, some holding tattered jerseys. Carter's, Riley's chest tightened. The team had been caged like animals. A faint scratch came from one cage. A voice, barely a whisper. "Help." Riley froze, flashlight sweeping, landing on a figure gaunt, bearded, eyes hollow. "Hayes," he whispered, recognizing the name. The man nodded, voice cracked. "There, below, still alive." Before Riley could act, a gunshot rang out, the bullet sparking off the cage. He spun, firing back, his shot grazing a Vale gunman's arm. The man howled, but the others closed in, their beams blinding. Riley dragged Hayes from the cage, the man's legs weak, and ran, the passage narrowing, rocks biting their skin. The mineral's hum grew deafening, tugging at Riley's mind, visions of cloaked figures flickering. He pushed Hayes ahead, shouting, "Keep moving!" They burst into a wider shaft, a rickety ladder leading up, but a new sound stopped them, a mechanical grind, like a trap springing. The shaft's walls shook, dust choking the air, as a steel gate slammed down behind. sealing them in. The gunmen's lights closed in, their leader snarling, "You're trapped." Just like them. Riley fired, dropping one, but the others ducked, returning fire. Hayes stumbled, clutching Riley's arm, whispering, "Spire's core. They're there." Riley nodded, hauling him up the ladder, bullets pinging below. The ladder led to a ledge overlooking a vast pit, the minerals glow blinding, and below, faint cries echoed human, alive. The team, or what was left, was down there. Riley's jaw clenched. He'd found them, but the night veil was steps away, and the spire was a tomb rigged to bury them all. Riley's arm burned, the knife wound from Voss's trailer pulsing as he hauled Hayes up the rusted ladder, the spire's glowing pit casting their shadows like ghosts across the cavern walls. The night veil's steel gate had slammed shut below, trapping them in the mine's upper shaft, the air thick with dust and the mineral's cursed hum, a sickly green pulse that clawed at Riley's thoughts. Hayes, gaunt and trembling, one of the lost Crestwood High basketball players, clung to him. His whispered, "They're below," a lifeline and a curse. The diary, map and stolen drive weighed heavy in Riley's pack, proof of the 2005 team's fate taken for seeing the Veil's secret, a mind-warping mineral mined in the hollow. Gunshots echoed from the lower shaft, the Veil's gunmen climbing, their radios crackling. "He's got a survivor. End them both." Riley's stolen pistol, slick with Voss's blood, had 3 rounds left. His thigh, grazed in the forest, screamed with every step, but he pushed Hayes toward a narrow ledge, the pit's glow revealing a deeper tunnel. "Move," Riley hissed, shoving the player ahead, his flashlight flickering, the minerals light enough to guide them. The tunnel twisted, its walls studded with glowing veins, littered with broken tools and faded photos. Carter, Lee, Moreno, Dawson, Coach Randall, their faces frozen in pre-2005 joy. Riley's chest tightened. The team had been here, caged, maybe tortured. Hayes stumbled, coughing, his voice raw. "They kept us, to dig. Coach, he tried to save us." Riley steadied him, but a new sound froze Thema mechanical groan, like gears waking. The tunnel shook, rocks falling, as a hidden panel slid open, revealing a chamber lined with monitors and crates marked Night Veil Exports. Riley dragged Hayes inside, barricading the door with a steel bar. The monitors flickered, showing live feeds, a mining operation, figures in hazmat suits handling glowing ore, and a caged room where 3 men, Dawson, Lee, Moreno, shoveled under armed guard. Riley's heart pounded. They were alive but broken, their eyes vacant. A video file auto-played, Coach Randall's face filling a screen. Bloodied. 2006. "I gave you the kids. Let me go." Riley's stomach lurched. Randall had betrayed the team, trading them for freedom. Hayes gasped, "He sold us." Before Riley could process, the barricade buckled, the Veil's men ramming the door. He grabbed a crate's crowbar, handing Hayes a wrench, and shot the monitors, sparks flying to slow their trackers. The door burst open, 2 gunmen charging, their silenced pistols flashing. Riley swung the crowbar, cracking one's jaw, while Hayes smashed the wrench into the other's knee, dropping him. A 3rd man fired, the bullet grazing Riley's shoulder, blood spraying. He tackled the shooter, slamming his head against a crate, the man collapsing. Riley panted, blood dripping, and grabbed their radio, hearing, "Seal the spire. Detonate if needed." The Veil was ready to bury it all. He yanked a flash drive from the terminal, stuffing it with the diary, and helped Hayes toward a vent shaft, its grate loose. "Climb," Riley ordered, boosting him up, the minerals hum now a scream in his head, visions of cloaked figures flickering. They crawled through, emerging in a loading bay, a rusted truck parked, keys dangling. Riley slid behind the wheel, Hayes collapsing in the passenger seat, but headlights flurried a Veil Jeep, ramming them as they peeled out. The bay's doors exploded outward, Riley swerving through the quarry, the Jeep's gunfire shattering the truck's rear window. He floored it, tires skidding, the map's spire sketch burning in his mind. A core chamber, where the team was held. Hayes coughed, pointing to a ravine. "There, underground entrance." Riley veered, the Jeep gaining, a shooter leaning out. He jerked the wheel, sending the truck into a skid, clipping the Jeep, which spun into a ditch. The ravine loomed, a hidden shaft entrance barely visible, boarded up. Riley crashed through, wood splintering, and braked hard, the truck lurching in a dark tunnel. Hayes groaned, blood on his lips, but pointed ahead. "Core, they're there." Riley grabbed the crowbar and drive, the radio crackling. "Detonators armed." 5 minutes. The veil was collapsing, the spire to erase them. Riley's shoulder bled, his vision blurring, but the video of Dawson, Lee, and Moreno shoveled in chains drove him. He ran, Hayes staggering behind, toward the core, where the mineral's glow was blinding, and faint cries human, desperate echoed. The team was close, but the ticking detonators were closer, and the night veil's shadow loomed, ready to bury them in the cursed earth. Riley's arm burned, the knife wound from Voss's trailer pulsing as he hauled Hayes up the rusted ladder, the spire's glowing pit casting their shadows like ghosts across the cavern walls. The night veil's steel gate had slammed shut below, trapping them in the mine's upper shaft, the air thick with dust and the mineral's cursed hum, a sickly green pulse that clawed at Riley's thoughts. Hayes, gaunt and trembling, one of the lost Crestwood High basketball players, clung to him, his whispered, "They're below," a lifeline and a curse. The diary, map, and stolen drive weighed heavy in Riley's pack, proof of the 2005 team's fate taken for seeing the Veil's secret, a mind-warping mineral mined in the hollow. Gunshots echoed from the lower shaft, the Veil's gunmen climbing, their radios crackling. "He's got a survivor. End them both." Riley's stolen pistol, slick with Voss's blood, had 3 rounds left. His thigh, grazed in the forest, screamed with every step, but he pushed Hayes toward a narrow ledge, the pit's glow revealing a deeper tunnel. "Move," Riley hissed, shoving the player ahead, his flashlight flickering, the minerals light enough to guide them. The tunnel twisted, its walls studded with glowing veins, littered with broken tools and faded photos. Carter, Lee, Moreno, Dawson, Coach Randall, their faces frozen in pre-2005 joy. Riley's chest tightened. The team had been here, caged, maybe tortured. Hayes stumbled, coughing, his voice raw. "They kept us. To dig. Coach." He tried to save us. Riley steadied him, but a new sound froze the mechanical groan, like gears waking. The tunnel shook, rocks falling, as a hidden panel slid open, revealing a chamber lined with monitors and crates marked Night Veil Exports. Riley dragged Hayes inside, barricading the door with a steel bar. The monitors flickered, showing live feeds, a mining operation, figures in hazmat suits handling glowing ore, and a caged room where 3 men, Dawson, Lee, Moreno, shoveled under armed guard. Riley's heart pounded. They were alive but broken, their eyes vacant. A video file auto-played, Coach Randall's face filling a screen, bloodied, 2006. "I gave you the kids. Let me go." Riley's stomach lurched. Randall had betrayed the team, trading them for freedom. Hayes gasped. "He sold us." Before Riley could process, the barricade buckled, the Veil's men ramming the door. He grabbed a crate's crowbar, handing Hayes a wrench, and shot the monitors, sparks flying, to slow their trackers. The door burst open, 2 gunmen charging, their silenced pistols flashing. Riley swung the crowbar, cracking one's jaw, while Hayes smashed the wrench into the other's knee, dropping him. A 3rd man fired, the bullet grazing Riley's shoulder, blood spraying. He tackled the shooter, slamming his head against a crate, the man collapsing. Riley panted, blood dripping, and grabbed their radio, hearing, "Seal the spire, detonate if needed." The Veil was ready to bury it all. He yanked a flash drive from the terminal, stuffing it with the diary, and helped Hayes toward a vent shaft, its grate loose. "Climb," Riley ordered, boosting him up, the mineral's hum now a scream in his head, visions of cloaked figures flickering. They crawled through, emerging in a loading bay, a rusted truck parked, keys dangling. Riley slid behind the wheel, Hayes collapsing in the passenger seat, but headlights flurried a Veil jeep, ramming them as they peeled out. The bay's doors exploded outward, Riley swerving through the quarry, the jeep's gunfire shattering the truck's rear window. He floored it, tires skidding, the map's spire sketch burning in his mind. A core chamber, where the team was held. Hayes coughed, pointing to a ravine. "There, underground entrance." Riley veered, the jeep gaining, a shooter leaning out. He jerked the wheel, sending the truck into a skid, clipping the jeep, which spun into a ditch. The ravine loomed, a hidden shaft entrance barely visible boarded up. Riley crashed through, wood splintering, and braked hard, the truck lurching in a dark tunnel. Hayes groaned, blood on his lips, but pointed ahead. "Core, they're there." Riley grabbed the crowbar and drive, the radio crackling. "Detonators armed." 5 minutes. The veil was collapsing the spire to erase them. Riley's shoulder bled, his vision blurring, but the video of Dawson, Lee, and Marino shoveled in chains drove him. He ran, Hayes staggering behind, toward the core, where the mineral's glow was blinding, and faint cries human, desperate echoed. The team was close, but the ticking detonators were closer, and the night veil's shadow loomed, ready to bury them in the cursed earth. Riley's shoulder screamed, blood seeping from the fresh graze as he dragged Hayes through the spire's core tunnel, the cursed mineral's green glow pulsing like a fevered heart, its hum clawing at his sanity. The stolen flash drive, diary, and map burned in his pack, proof of the Night Vale's atrocities enslaving the 2005 Crestwood High basketball team to mine their toxic ore. The detonator's ticking echoed in his mind, 5 minutes until the syndicate buried the mine, erasing Dawson, Lee, Moreno, and any hope of justice. Hayes, barely standing, his emaciated frame a ghost of the player he'd been, coughed blood, his words ragged. "They're close. Cage room." Riley's thigh wound throbbed, his vision blurring, but the cries from the core human, desperate, drove him. The tunnel widened, revealing a steel gate, its lock rusted but intact. Riley swung his crowbar, metal sparking, the gate groaning open to a cavernous chamber, its ceiling dripping with glowing mineral veins. Cages lined the walls, 3 figures inside. Dawson, Lee, Marino shackled, shoveling ore, their faces gaunt, eyes vacant under the veil's armed guard. A cloaked overseer barked orders, his radio crackling. "Prep for collapse. No survivors." Riley's blood boiled. Coach Randall's betrayal selling the team for freedom fueled his rage. He shoved Hayes behind a crate, whispering, "Stay down," and gripped his stolen pistol, 2 rounds left. The overseer turned, sensing movement, and Riley fired, the bullet hitting his shoulder, dropping him. The guards spun, raising rifles, but Riley dove, crowbar swinging, cracking one's skull. The others shot grazing his ribs, pain exploding. Hayes lunged, weak but fierce, tackling the second guard, his wrench slamming down, silencing him. Riley freed the players, their chains clanking, their voices cracked. "Who are you?" No time to explain. He handed Dawson the crowbar, Lee the wrench, and led them out. Hayes limping, the detonator's hum louder, the mineral's glow twisting his thoughts with cloaked shadows. The chamber shook, rocks falling, a distant boom signaling the first charges. Riley's radio, stolen from the guards, hissed. "Core's rigged. 2 minutes." They ran, the players stumbling, their bodies broken by years of labor. A new tunnel opened, but headlights flurried a Vale Jeep, bursting through a side shaft, its driver masked, a machine gun blazing. Riley shoved the group behind a boulder, bullets chewing stone, and fired his last round, hitting the driver's arm, the Jeep swerving. Moreno, eyes wild, charged, ripping the driver out, his fists a blur of vengeance, but a second Vale team emerged, 4 men, their knives flashing. Riley fought, crowbar clashing, his ribs burning, taking one down, but a blade sliced his forearm, blood spraying. Dawson and Lee joined, their tools crude but deadly, dropping 2 more, but Moreno fell, a knife in his chest, his final breath a gasp. "Tell, my sister." Riley's heart shattered, but he pulled the others on, the tunnel collapsing behind, dust choking them. They reached a ventilation shaft, its grate kicked free, and climbed, the mineral's hum fading, the detonator's whine piercing. Riley boosted Hayes, Dawson, and Lee up, their strength fading, and crawled after, emerging in a quarry ravine, the spire's core imploding below, flames licking the shaft. The radio crackled. Target escaped. Find them. The veil wasn't done. Riley led the group to a derelict shed, its walls hiding a rusted bike, enough for one to ride for help. Hayes volunteered, his eyes fierce despite his frailty. "I owe them." Riley nodded, handing him the diary and drive. "Find Hannah, ex-cop, Crestwood Diner. She'll know what to do." Hayes pedaled off, vanishing into the dusk, while Riley and the players hid, their breaths ragged. Moreno's death a fresh wound. Riley checked the map, its final mark pointing to a vault, a Night Vale stronghold, where the mineral was stored and where Coach Randall's fate might lie. His phone, cracked but alive, buzzed text from Hannah. Voss's map led here. Quarry's hot. Where are you? Riley typed back. Survivors out. Moreno's gone. Vault next. Get feds. Her reply was instant. Vale's got eyes in the feds. Trust no one. Riley's gut twisted. The syndicate's reach was deeper than he'd feared, and Hannah's warning meant betrayal was close. Dawson clutched his arm, voice low. We dug for years, saw things. The mineral it speaks, makes you see ghosts. Lee nodded, haunted. Coach tried to fight, but they broke him. Riley's jaw clenched. Randall's video plea haunted him, but Moreno's sacrifice burned brighter. He led them toward the vault, a mile off, through a forest alive with danger, the mineral's curse still whispering in his mind. Headlights flickered ahead, a Night Vale patrol, sweeping the ravine. Riley signaled silence, the players crouching, their freedom fragile, the vault their last chance to end this nightmare. Riley's ribs ached, the fresh graze from the Vale's bullet burning as he led Dawson and Lee through Blackwood Forest's tangled undergrowth. The vault's location, a Night Vale stronghold etched in his mind from Voss's bloodied map. The cursed mineral's hum lingered in his skull, its green glow a ghost that warped his thoughts with fleeting visions of cloaked figures. Moreno's death, his knife-pierced chest and final plea. Tell my sister was a raw wound, driving Riley to save the surviving Crestwood High basketball players. Hayes was gone, pedaling toward Crestwood with the diary and flash drive to find Hannah, the ex-cop, their only hope for uncorrupted feds. The vault, a fortified mine where the Vale stored their mind-poisoning ore, was a mile off, where Dawson and Lee believed Coach Randall and answers awaited. The forest was alive with danger, Night Vale patrols sweeping the ravine, their headlights slicing through dusk's fog. Riley signaled a halt, crouching behind a rotting stump, the players' breaths ragged, their emaciated frames trembling from years of captivity. Dawson's voice cracked. They kept us digging, said the mineral-powered something big. Lee's eyes were haunted. Randall, he stopped fighting, became one of them. Riley's jaw clenched. The coach's 2006 video, begging for freedom, branded him a traitor, but the player's words hinted at something worse. His pack, heavy with the map and stolen drive, held proof of the Vale's crimes, but Hannah's warning corrupted feds meant trust was a luxury. A patrol's engine growled nearby, tires crunching. Riley led the group into a gully, mud sucking at their boots, the vault's entrancey a steel hatch in a quarry cliff glimmering ahead. He pried it open, the hinge screaming, and ushered Dawson and Lee inside, the air cold, metallic, laced with the mineral's sickly scent. The tunnel sloped down, its walls studded with glowing veins, flickering monitors showing mining ops and armed guards. Riley's stolen pistol, down to 1 round, felt useless against what lay ahead. A storage bay opened, crates stamped Night Vale exports stacked high, beside a cage empty, but holding a Crestwood jersey, Randall's name stitched in crimson. Lee froze. He was here. Yesterday. Riley's pulse spiked. The coach might still be alive. A keypad-locked door beckoned, its code scratched on the map. Hollow 4. He punched it in, the door hissing open to a control room, its screens alive with data, mineral shipments, buyer lists, and a live feed of a caged figure Randall, grey, broken, shoveling ore alone. Dawson gasped. He's alive. Before Riley could act, boots echoed guards 4, rifles raised, radios barking. Intruders in vault. Kill on sight. Riley dove behind a console, shoving Dawson and Lee under a desk, the mineral's hum deafening, twisting his vision with cloaked shadows. He fired his last shot, clipping a guard's leg, dropping him, but the others sprayed bullets, sparks flying. Riley grabbed a fire axe from the wall, swinging, the blade biting a guard's arm, blood spraying. Dawson tackled another, his fists raw but fierce, while Lee smashed a chair into the third, bones cracking. The fourth guard lunged, knife flashing, slicing Riley's calf, pain searing. Riley roared, axe arcing, knocking the man out, his body crumpling. The room fell silent, blood pooling, but the screens flashed red. Vault lockdown. Detonators active. The Vale was collapsing the mine again, Riley hacked the console, pulling a hard drive with shipment logs, and dragged the players toward Randall's cage, the tunnel shaking, dust choking. They reached the cage, Randall inside, eyes vacant, muttering, "No way out." Riley broke the lock, crowbar splintering metal, and pulled him out. But Randall resisted, clawing. "They own me." Lee slapped him, voice breaking. "You sold us." Randall's gaze cleared, shame flickering, and he staggered after them, the detonator's whine piercing. A new tunnel led up, but headlights flurried a Vale truck, crashing through a side shaft, its machine gun blazing. Riley shoved the group behind crates, bullets shredding steel, and threw a gas canister from the floor, its hiss blinding the driver. He sprinted, leading the players and Randall, the truck swerving, crashing into a wall, flames erupting. The tunnel collapsed behind, sealing the truck, but the detonators ticked louder seconds left. Riley spotted a ventilation shaft, its grate loose, and boosted Dawson, Lee, and Randall up, his calf bleeding, vision blurring. He climbed after, the vault imploding below, flames licking his boots. They emerged in a clearing, the quarry a blazing ruin, but a new threat loomed. Drones, their red eyes scanning. Night Vale's final trap. Riley led the group into the forest, Randall muttering, "The broker, he runs it all." The name hit like a blade. The Vale's leader was close, and the fight wasn't over. Riley's phone buzzed Hannah. "Hayes made it. Fed's moving, but Vale's got moles." "Where's the vault?" He typed. "Survivors out. Randall's with us. Broker's next." The drones hummed closer, and Riley pushed on, the player's frail hope and Marino's sacrifice fueling him toward a final reckoning. Riley's calf bled. The Night Vale's knife wound a searing pulse as he led Dawson, Lee, and Coach Randall through Blackwood Forest's choking mist, the drone's red eyes flickering like predators in the tree line. The vault's collapse still roared in his ears, flames and rubble burying the cursed mineral's glow, but the syndicate's reach was unbroken. The broker, their shadowy leader, loomed larger with Randall's muttered confession. The stolen hard drive, diary, and map weighed heavy in Riley's pack, proof of the 2005 Crestwood High basketball team's enslavement, forced to mine a mind-warping ore. Moreno's death, Hayes' desperate ride to Hannah, and Randall's betrayal selling the team for a broken freedom fueled Riley's rage. His ribs and shoulder throbbed, blood crusting his shirt, but the player's frail steps behind him, their eyes flickering with hope, kept him moving. The broker's base, a fortified estate on Crestwood's outskirts, was their target, marked on Voss's map as Endgame. Hannah's text haze reaching her, Feds mobilizing but riddled with Vale moles meant time was bleeding out. A drone hummed closer, its spotlight grazing the trees. Riley shoved the group into a ditch, mud soaking their clothes, whispering, "Stay low." Dawson clutched his crowbar, Lee his wrench, their bodies weak but spirits hardening. Randall, grey and trembling, muttered, "Broker's untouchable, owns everyone." Riley gripped his stolen pistol, empty but a bluff, and hissed, "Not today." The drone passed, but headlights flared a Night Vale SUV, patrolling the forest's edge. Riley led them deeper, toward the estate, its iron gates glinting under floodlights a mile off. The forest thinned, revealing a quarry road, the estate's walls patrolled by armed guards, their dogs snarling. Riley's map showed a drainage tunnel, a risky entry. He pried its grate free, the metal groaning, and ushered the group inside, the air dank, the mineral's faint hum echoing even here, twisting his thoughts with cloaked shadows. The tunnel spat them into a basement, its walls lined with crates of glowing ore, labeled Broker Exports. Monitors flickered, showing global shipments, Asia, Europe, black markets. Riley's blood chilled. The Vale's empire was vast, the mineral's curse a global poison. A steel door led up, but voices stopped them guards, discussing the broker's guest. Riley cracked the door, spotting a man in a suit, silver-haired, commanding, "The broker." Beside him, bound and bloodied, was Hannah, her eyes defiant despite a bruised face. Riley's heart sank. Hayes had reached her, but the Vale's moles betrayed them. Dawson whispered, "We fight," his voice steel despite his frailty. Lee nodded, gripping his wrench. Randall shrank, shame carving his face, but Riley grabbed his arm. "You owe them. Move." They crept up, Riley's crowbar ready, the estate's halls sterile, lined with veil insignias. A guard rounded the corner, rifle raised, but Riley swung, the crowbar cracking his skull, the body slumping silently. He took the rifle, handing his empty pistol to Dawson, and led them toward the broker's office, where Hannah's voice rang out, sharp. "You'll fall, Carver." Carver, the broker's name. A blade of truth. Riley burst in, rifle aimed, but Carver was faster, drawing a pistol, firing, the bullet grazing Riley's ear, blood dripping. Hannah headbutted her captor, breaking free, grabbing a knife from his belt. Dawson and Lee charged, their tools swinging, dropping 2 guards. But Carver laughed, cold. "You're too late. The minerals shipped, the hollow's gone." Riley tackled him, fists slamming, Carver's pistol skidding. The broker fought back, his strength unnerving, a knife flashing, slicing Riley's forearm. Hannah stabbed a guard, freeing herself, and joined the fray, her knife clashing with another's paladin. Undiv. Randall, frozen, snapped awake, tackling a guard, his fists weak but desperate, redeeming a fraction of his shame. The room erupted, blood and chaos, until Carver broke free, hitting a wall panel, alarms blaring. "You'll die with the estate," he snarled, bolting through a hidden door. Riley pursued, Hannah and the players behind, the estate shaking detonators. Again, the Veil's final trap. They chased Carver through a maze of halls, guards firing, bullets sparking. Riley shot back, dropping one, his ammo low. Dawson swung his crowbar, Lee his wrench, their fight a defiant roar. They cornered Carver in a vault, crates of mineral glowing, a helicopter waiting outside. Carver raised his gun, but Randall lunged, taking a bullet to the chest, collapsing, his last breath a choked, "Sorry." Riley fired, hitting Carver's leg, dropping him. Hannah cuffed him, her face bloodied but fierce. The estate trembled, charges detonating, and Riley dragged Carver out, the group sprinting as walls collapsed, flames roaring. They reached the forest, the estate a pyre, Carver's empire crumbling. Riley clutched the hard drive, Randall's sacrifice a heavy price, but the player's freedom a fragile victory. Riley's forearm bled. The Night Vale's knife wound a dull throb as he dragged the cuffed broker, Carver, through Blackwood Forest's choking fog, the estate's burning ruins lighting the night behind them. Dawson and Lee staggered at his side, their emaciated frames trembling but eyes fierce. Survivors of the 2005 Crestwood High basketball team, freed from 2 decades of enslavement mining a cursed, mind-warping mineral. Hannah, bloodied but unbowed, limped ahead, her knife still clutched, her capture by the Veil's moles a fresh scar. Randall's sacrifice taking a bullet to save them weighed heavy, his final, sorry a redemption, too late for Moreno, Hayes, or the coach himself. Riley's pack held the hard drive, diary and map, proof of the Veil's global empire, its glowing ore shipped to black markets, poisoning minds worldwide. His ribs, shoulder, and calf screamed, blood crusting his clothes. But the player's frail hope drove him. The forest swarmed with Danger Veil, drones hummed faintly, their red eyes scanning, and corrupted feds, warned by Hannah, could betray them still. Carver smirked, his silver hair matted with blood, voice cold. "You've won nothing." The Veil's roots run deep. Riley shoved him forward, rifle butt to his back. "Keep moving." Their goal was a safe house, a ranger station 5 miles off, where Hannah's trusted contact and uncorrupted FBI agent waited to take Carver and the evidence. The station's faint light glimmered through the trees, a beacon in the chaos. Dawson clutched his crowbar, Lee his wrench, their weapons crude but symbols of defiance. Hannah's phone buzzed, a text from her contact. "Station secure, hurry." Riley's gut twisted. Trust was fragile, but they had no choice. A drone's spotlight swept close, and Riley pulled the group into a ravine, mud soaking their boots, Carver's cuffs clinking. "They'll find you," Carver taunted, but Hannah gagged him with a rag, her eyes steel. "Not today." The ravine led to a clearing, the station's silhouette sharp against the dawn. Riley signaled a halt, scanning for traps. 2 figures emerged, FBI vests glinting, hands raised. Agent Torres, one called. "Hannah's contact." Riley lowered his rifle, tension easing, but Carver's muffled laugh chilled him. Torres took Carver, cuffing him to a jeep, while his partner, Agent Reed, secured the hard drive and diary, eyes widening at the data. This'll bring down empires. Riley handed over the map, Voss's blood still on its edges, and collapsed against a tree, exhaustion hitting like a wave. Dawson and Lee sank beside him, their breaths shallow but free. Torres radioed for medics, choppers inbound to airlift the players to a secure hospital. Hannah, bandaging her arm, met Riley's gaze, a nod of shared resolve. The choppers arrived, their roar drowning the forest's hum, and medics rushed to Dawson and Lee, their frail bodies wrapped in blankets, eyes blinking at a world they'd lost. Riley boarded with them, Hannah staying to brief Torres, Carver glaring from the jeep, his empire crumbling. At the hospital, Riley watched as Dawson and Lee were treated, their families greyed, broken by decades of grief rushing in, tears and embraces of fragile healing. Hayes, rescued by Hannah, joined them, his own family clutching him, the diary's words, trapped, finally undone. Moreno's sister arrived, her face a mirror his, and Riley handed her his jersey, salvaged from the spire, his voice breaking. He fought for them. She nodded, tears falling, a silent vow to carry his memory. The feds, purged of Vale moles, raided Night Vale hubs worldwide, guided by the hard drive's data. Asia, Europe, hidden mines shut down, buyers exposed. Carver faced trial, his smirk gone, sentenced to life as the Vale's network unraveled. Riley's article, published weeks later, bared the truth. The team's wrong turn, the cursed mineral, the Vale's greed. Crestwood read it in silence, memorials for Moreno and Randall adorned with fresh flowers, the town beginning to heal. Hannah, reinstated as a detective, led efforts to clear Blackwood, its cursed glow buried in sealed shafts. Riley visited the hospital daily, watching Dawson, Lee and Hayes recover, their laughter faint but growing, basketballs bouncing in therapy sessions, a spark of their old selves. One morning, Dawson gripped his hand, voice steady. "You brought us home." Riley nodded, the diary's weight gone, replaced by purpose. He joined Hannah in Crestwood, aiding families of other Vale victims, their fight a beacon for justice. Blackwood's fog lifted, its curse broken, and Riley stood by the team's old court, now restored, kids playing under a new dawn, the champion's legacy alive. Riley uncovered a sinister plot, saving a lost basketball team after 20 years. Truth prevailed, healing began. Thanks for listening. Like, share, and subscribe for more thrilling stories. Don't miss our latest. Hit the bell for notifications.